welcome back to FiddleUP. I am Emerald Ray, and today we're going to learn one of my favorite Scottish tunes. This is Miss Shepherd's Reel, and it's just such a fun one. You can dig into the fiddle everywhere. I mean, this fiddle just this fiddle tune. This tune covers the fiddle from bottom to top. You're just everywhere and going up and back down, and it's a really fun tune to play. It's an amazing dance tune, like amazing. Like it's just one of the best dance tunes ever written. And it's very, very old. It's hundreds of years old, and that's the best kind, in my opinion. I love all these old tunes. So this is a classic one. You'll be able to play this at any Scottish session. You'll be able to play this for dances and all kinds of things. It's very, very useful. And so we're going to start all the way down at the bottom. We're in A minor. But there's some funky stuff that happens with the G, and we can talk about that. You know, we have a natural minor scale, but with a G sharp sometimes, which in theory you would call it that minor major 7. But, you know, we don't do technical terms around here. So it's just one of those things. Sometimes you would see it written out as an accidental. And so, you know, there's lots of different ways to think about that. But like I've been saying, in folk music and in Celtic music in general, the scales and the modes and stuff, they don't really mean anything. They change all the time. So this is another example of that. So we're going to start all the way down on the G string, on your A, first finger on the G string. So starting A, B, C, up to the D string, and up to the E, and then open D again, and then down to the C. So the bowing, we're going to keep the bowing pretty standard. So that means if we have a bar like this where there's 7 notes in it, we're going to have to do a slur and keep the bowing pretty stable the whole time to start out. And then once you get going with some fancier bowing, you can add that in. But if you're just getting started with all this stuff, I would keep it pretty simple. So down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's where the slur is. Down, up, and then a quarter note, and then a slur to get out of that so that you can start the down bow on the next bar. And then we're going to go down to your B on the G string. So that we go from the B up to the D string, up to your G, and do a little G, F sharp G. And then we're going to do a nice G arpeggio here. So that's open G, B, and open D, open D, B, open G. Excellent. So we'll start from the top and play those 2 phrases together. Excellent. Let's try that one more time. And if you want to add some fancier bowing in there, you can try something like... So that's what's known as a down and 3 up, and that's very common in Irish music, and that really works really well at that particular place when you're playing this for dancing. It just adds a little in there, you know, it's really effective. So continuing on, the next phrase is. So here's kind of a funky half of something, maybe a scale, maybe something different. We have A, B, C, open D, E, and then we have a G sharp. So that's a high 3 on your D string. So we're going to go all the way up the scale. The only note we're not doing is the F sharp on the D string. And then doing a C at the top. And then continuing on with that G sharp theme here. So that's B on the A string, down to B, A, and then G sharp. And then up to the B again, and then C, A, A. So one thing to know about this G sharp thing that we're doing here is that it's a little bit of a play. We're kind of playing around with it here. If you heard somebody else play this tune, they might do a G natural. And that would be completely acceptable. That would be their version. That might be closer to the more traditional version. That might be closer to one of the versions that's in one of the books for, that got written down somewhere in the last 200 years or so. That might be somebody's artistic decision that they just made. But we're going to learn my version today, and I like to play around with those G sharps. And in the B part, we're going to talk about how to interchange them so you can decide what your version is. So let's play phrase 3 and 4 together. Try that again. Okay, cool. So let's try the whole A part together because we are done with the A part. So let's try to put all of that together, starting at the bottom. And then go from the repeat there. So I did a little retake there, and you can also do a pickup back into the beginning of the A part here. I'm just doing a little B down to, or you could do an E. You can kind of sneak a little note in there if you want to keep going. This tune is so punchy in the beginning that I like to kind of leave it alone. So you can also just jump, or you can put a pickup in. It's totally up to you. I haven't even decided what I'm doing yet, so we'll find out. So let's try this whole A part repeated. the end there, we would go to get into the B part, but we won't get there yet. I want to talk about a couple of those trills that I accidentally threw in there. I do like to put trills in here. See, I went for the G natural that time. And I didn't even mean to. So those trills are, that's just a little second finger trill on the F. And what I'm doing there is I'm doing these little up bow accents. Punching the up bow a little bit there, and that's to add some lift and some danceability. And then doing a little second finger trill on my A string. So those are some things that you can add in there. If you want to add your own trills somewhere else, go for it. So now that we've done all of that, let's move on to the B part. So here's where this G sharp or natural is going to start to be a little bit of a thing. So it's the whole B part starts on that G. I am choosing to play a G natural here instead, just to keep everybody guessing, because we did a lot of G sharp the last time. So I'm taking this opportunity to do a very prominent G natural. But a lot of other people would choose to do the G sharp there. So a lot of people do that. I like to be different and not do that for some reason. Again, these are all interchangeable. And if I was standing next to somebody and they were playing a G natural there and I was playing a G sharp, you know, if we were playing two things, even though we're playing two different things, it would actually somehow work out, because it's just supposed to be, it's supposed to create tension. You know, the whole idea of playing or both of those things are kind of technically the same thing, and they exist a lot, especially in Scottish music. We do hang out on those sevenths a lot, and it's just part of the sound, and it's supposed to create tension. So I wouldn't actually worry about it too much. I would actually try to keep it a little bit loosey-goosey yourself if you want to. But if you're just getting started out and you want to have something decided, then now's a good time to just pick one. So for now, we'll do the G natural. So that's a pickup right there. And the first note of the B part is technically that A. And now I'm going back to the G sharp here. Oh no, I'm sorry, I lied. I'm going, the F sharp threw me off. So we're going to the G natural here. Sneaking that in there at the end. So let's go through that really slow. So we're starting from the G natural here as a pickup, and then so that's up on the top A here, third finger on your E string, open E, and then D, C, B, A on the A string. And then the pickup into the next phrase is an F sharp. And then we'll go into a G there. So let's start with the G natural pickup. just really wants to go there, doesn't it? So starting from there, I'm adding a double stop at the top there. And let's talk about that bow pattern really quick. I'm doing a down, up, up. Long, short, short, long, short, short. So long, short, short, long, short, short. And so since you're kind of coming down on a long note anyway, and then you have a whole bunch of short notes that would lead you into an up bow on the wrong place. That's what you're trying to avoid right there. You're trying to avoid an awkward up bow. Always. That's the whole point. That is that is all of fiddle bowing. You wanna have your bow going in generally the right direction. And there's no real rules of thumb other than, you know, especially in Scottish music, it's a lot of down bows on down beats, and it's not 100% all of the time, but that is the basic rule of thumb. So that's what we're going for here. So like I've been saying, instead of thinking about slurs, think about bow patterns. So just think long, short, short, long, short, short, and then we'll do a very similar phrase next with the same bowing pattern. So be thinking about that. So let's try from that G natural here, and then up to the A. And then the next phrase is on the G. And you can play exactly the same phrase, but I almost think that's a little bit too repetitive. It's almost a little bit too predictable, but you can play that if you want. So starting on the G here. So it's G on the D string. So that's F sharp to G, D, and then C, B, A, G. Or as I'm playing, C, B, B, G. C, B, G, G. Why do they all sound the same? Yeah, sorry. I'm somebody who thinks in patterns and not in letters, so that's always a challenge for me. I'm trying not to think about any letters or numbers at all because I just want to be playing really fast. So I'm doing my best for you. So now we have these two phrases together, which go so well together, we should just do them together. So let's start from that G natural at the very top. Try that again. So do you see how I continued that bow pattern all the way down? So now we're going to do something crazy. We're going to go all the way up to the E string really fast. So get your G natural ready for an up bow here. So we've come down on the G string and we're going to go all the way up 2 octaves, all the way up to the G pickup again. So it'll kind of look like this. Whew, did you see that? So I'd practice that a couple of times. So that's where we're going next. This is this little first ending here. So that first phrase is exactly the same as the very first phrase of the B part, except there's a different note at the end. Going for a C at the end instead of hopping down to that F sharp. I'm going to head up to a C, and then we'll play which we did in the A part. So let's try that together. Let's do the G natural pickup actually. So I am continuing that same bow pattern there too for the first part, not for the second phrase, but for the first phrase I'm still in. And then I'm going back to straight bowing. Okay, let's try all of that together. So the B part starts like this, up at your top G. Let's try it all together. Excellent. And so at that point, I like to hop up. I like to change it up at that point, since it's time number 3 for possibly that G natural, but I'm going to change it now and play the G sharp. So the same, exactly the same thing. And then we'll play. Which you already know, so we're all done. We just got to put the jigsaw pieces together here. So let's try from the G sharp pickup here and try all of that together. I'm going to play a B pickup there because we're going right into it. And that's the end of the B part there. We will repeat it, but let's try from the very top of the B part so you can see how all of this works, because it's a little repetitive. So starting from a G natural pickup. Excellent. So that's the whole thing. This tune, you could repeat that or not repeat it if you wanted to. So let's try a repeat of all of that and see how we feel about that. So starting from the G natural. And so when we go into the repeat, I may, without control over my own mind and my own fingers, start messing around with where the G sharps go on the second time. I have a feeling I already feel like it's going to happen. So if that happens, don't be alarmed. Just do it with me. Go with it. So starting on the G natural. Ready? we made it. So let's try the A part and the B part together. And so before I continue, I was adding some little trills and some double stops in there. And so, generally on A's and E's. And then hitting that G as well, because that's a big prominent chord that happens. And the trills I was throwing in are, very similar to what I was doing in the A part. I'm not really thinking about it. They're just rolling off my fingers. That's kind of how ornamentation should be. It should just kind of spontaneously happen. So just throw a couple in there and see how that feels. So let's do the whole tune. 1, 2, and here we go. Excellent work. So you can repeat those parts. I played them just 1 through, but you can play, it depends on the situation. If you want to just keep it going, that's a really nice tune. It repeats very nicely. So that's that in terms of leveling up this tune to the next level. So first of all, speed. This is one of those tunes that goes really well fast and is much happier at a higher tempo. So I would try to get this nice and happy up there. But this is such a gutsy tune. You really want to make sure that you're digging into your G string pretty prominently. Yeah. So we've been talking a little bit about fiddle grit. Go for it. Get right into the grit of the string there. So you really want to hold on to your string. See if you can put too much pressure on the string so that your bow is kind of locked. And then so get into that gritty sound there. It's really, really important for fiddle music. It's what makes fiddle music sound like fiddle music. And despite what, classical violinists will say, us doing that and leaning into the grit is completely intentional. That is what fiddle music is. It's gritty. It's got that sandpaper sound, and we're actually doing it on purpose. So, leaning into the string and getting into that gritty behavior, especially in the G string, especially when you're going for this really powerful dance tune, and you're hitting the bottom of the fiddle right at the top of the tune. That's when you want to go, just make it sound kind of trumpety. Do you know what I mean? Just go all the way for it there. And you can add some double stops at the bottom to give you a nice big A chord. So I'm hammering on with an A and an E on my G and D string there. Just a big first finger double stop there. And I'm almost kind of going in early and anticipating it a little bit there. So you can play around with some of that. And the rest of it is just doing some of those bowing syncopations. is I'm trying to keep the keep it a little bit unstable. I'm actually accenting some up bows there, and I'm not planning on what they are. They're not exactly set in the syncopation rhythm of like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. I'm actually just kind of kicking my up bow a little bit randomly to keep it interesting. So I would play around with that a little bit. Just try to kick your elbow up at random times and see what that sounds like, and you'll fall into some really interesting patterns without even thinking about it. And then B part, same kind of thing. We have the B part has some really beautiful double stop opportunities, which we've talked about, but it has a different feel than the A part. The A part is more gritty and percussive, and it's more about being precise with those bottom notes. And then the B part is it's one of these beautiful cascading waterfall kind of motions. So it's more of kind of keeping that feel. So as you can see, there's two different feels. It's kind of, gritty and percussive, and then more flowy in the B part. So be aware of what is the vibe of this part, what is the vibe of this tune in general? The vibe of this tune in general is A minor intensity, and it's a really powerful tune in both ways. And then the first part is kind of, more staccato-y kind of sounding, and the second part is more flowy bows. So bear in mind, go fully into all of those vibes, and you'll have a beautiful version of this tune. Miss Shepherds, I hope you enjoyed this tune. I hope you enjoyed playing around with it and getting it up to dance speed and all of that good stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you next time.